And we do welcome to the program Tommy Vaughan and A.J. Owen with Team CTS. Hi, guys. Central Technology Solutions.
Morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
And you, A.J.'s just
still grooving.
Still grooving.
It's too cold for me right now. I'm still frozen.
So, and we're going to talk about new compliance regulations that are in effect. We're going to talk about being cyber fit for 2025.
I like the idea of cyber fit, but anytime somebody says, let's talk about regulations, even though I get excited about it, I know nobody else that's listening is like, oh, this is a great show. We're going to talk about compliance.
It's important. But also, Tommy, you're a firefighter.
I am.
In Campbell County. And first of all, there was one yesterday.
There was. The city had a fire yesterday.
Okay. Did you help with that?
Well, this time of year, you see a lot of people doing different things to try to keep their houses warm when it's 19 degrees out.
Right.
And sometimes they don't work out as well as you would think, or they're not as prepared as they thought they were. But I think with what we're seeing in California with the high winds and dry, and when it's cold out, it's dry, right? So there is that. You have to be careful. And, I really worry about those guys out there. You see one fire truck and a few guys, fire can quickly get around them and engulf the whole area, as you see on TV. That's true that, you see the news anchor there and they're videoing and talking about a fire, and then, the next time they come back on after break, the fire's behind them. Mm-hmm. And when you're fighting fire and you're focused on that, you don't realize what's going on. You have to be very careful. Before you know it, you're surrounded, and there you are. You run out of water, you're done.
And to your point, that Pacific Palisades fire, it was at 10 acres at one point when it first started. And I think it was within 30 to 40 minutes, it was at 2,000 acres.
Isn't that unreal?
I just can't even imagine how fast that is to watch.
Oh, it's unreal. I mean, you think about the fire we had here in Bedford, right? That went across the mountain there. That went quickly, and that burned up quite a few acres and, was not under control for a very long time. Imagine you're in California where, we brag about how great, or they brag about how great the weather is. No rain, it's always 70. Mm-hmm. So now you got these winds, it's dry. And they're losing entire areas, entire towns are being burnt, gone.
It's 10,000 buildings they've gone over, have been destroyed, homes and businesses and what have you. And I think they've hit 200,000 people evacuated.
It's just absolutely unreal, I had a few people I know were joking a little bit, and they're like, so what is that, Sodom Gomorrah? What? Yeah. And I'm like, oh, ouch.
Well, they've arrested one person for arson.
Right.
As you look at it, and you had Henry Winkler, the Fonz, share on social media, and other celebrities are sharing that it's arsonists. They're convinced that these were intentionally set. Do you look at those fires and you think they had to have been intentionally set?
Even if they were or weren't, if you think about it, without the conditions being, quote, the perfect storm, mm-hmm. these would have been easy to maintain. Yeah. I mean, they've got competent fire departments out there that could handle an arson case for a building or two. I think this was the perfect storm. So whether it started that way or was in conjunction with the conditions just being right, I think it would have probably happened either way. It's just that kind of wind, even a cigarette out the window. We've had that happen here on Timberlake Road and have the whole median on fire and had to go put it out over a cigarette. In the wind of the cars going by, it was dry. There was material out there to catch on fire. So, you got to be careful. It can happen anywhere. It's just unfortunate what's happening there right now because of the conditions. It's dry. Moisture is your friend, and they don't have any. And that wind, if you've blown on a fire, it becomes like a furnace. Mm-hmm. So those kind of winds, it's just, it's got to be like hell over there.
Yeah, that low humidity and endless sunny days are all a lot of fun until the fires start.
Yeah, the earth shakes. Yeah, I like these
New
coasts.
Year's resolutions to quit smoking. That's the point here. Yeah. Quit smoking, stop fires.
So talk about Central Technology Solutions and being cyber fit for 2025. Yeah, we always talk about our health, our bodies, our physical fitness, but it's important for companies and folks to make sure that they have cyber fitness as well.
Right. Well, I'll let AJ get into that, but as far as the 2025 CTS, I think it's going to be neat. We have some pretty exciting things planned for 2025. You're going to see come out. You're going to see the kind of the face and the look and the go-to-market of CTS change slightly. A little less of the fix it and more of the professional services side is really more of where we stand out anyway. Not taking away from the other side, which we do very, very well. But I think as you've seen the industry change, especially now when we're still getting people getting text messages about their Amazon returns that are clearly not Amazon returns, but we're realizing that the face and the look and the reason there's compliant changes that I think AJ is going to mention is because criminals are so good at what they do, but we're better, and we're hoping to bring that to the area here, right here in Central Virginia.
I'd first like to point out, you guys have met Big O. I know. So is Tommy. And you're going to see this guy at the end of 2025. He's going to be extremely fit. I mean, solid. So just pointing that out. Brian, you coming along with the journey?
Absolutely.
Let's do it.
Okay.
Not all superheroes wear capes.
That's right.
Big O.
That's
Okay.
right.
Okay. We've noticed AJ and Big O are never in the room at the same
That's right.
time.
That's right. I wonder.
Right.
That's
man.
sneaky.
Okay, AJ, we're going to talk to you for a couple of minutes.
Okay.
We're going to take a break. We're going to then chat with Kara Thompson about the forecast, and then finish up with you guys as well. Okay, does that make sense?
That's
so
perfect.
if we're going to talk about compliance, this is important stuff. AJ is excited about it, I can tell, because he's still grooving to the imaginary music.
It's Morgan Wallen.
That's right. It's Morgan Wallen. I actually want to ask you guys a question.
Okay.
I feel like you're going to know the answer, but I'll ask it nonetheless. What industry do you feel had the most cybersecurity breaches?
I know.
Hand down, fireman.
I would guess healthcare.
All right, what's your guess, Brian?
Strip clubs.
Solid guess. All right, Biscuit, you getting in on the action? What do you say?
Medical, yeah.
Okay.
He said
Medical.
billboards apparently because of the Morgan.
Yeah, billboards.
He got hacked.
So healthcare, medical would be the right answer.
Is it really?
Correct,
Okay,
correct.
okay.
So do you guys know the...
You're sure it's not strip clubs?
No. Close runner-up.
I think we should investigate that.
Close runner-up.
Yeah.
But when you think about medical, what's the first, and this is maybe you'll know, maybe you don't, but what would you think the first regulatory compliance is? I mean, it's been around forever.
HIPAA?
Boom, you got it. Can anybody tell me how long ago HIPAA actually had revisions to their compliance?
God, probably before people started like turning around smartphones.
1980 BC.
I
I was
know.
gonna say, when I graduated high
Well,
school.
I remember they still talk that there's still like doctors' offices or places that still have fax machines.
Yeah, there's
And
an
all
argument
stuff
made
like
that
that.
that's more secure
Oh,
kind of
okay.
thing, and that
So this has to do the new compliance has
Correct.
to do with HIPAA,
was
the
getting to the point.
privacy stuff.
Yep.
Let's get into that with Team CTS. Take a break here. We'll get into that with Team easy for me to say, Team CTS when we come back, and also get the forecast from Kara Thompson. We'll be right back. 7:23 on the morning line, continuing with Tommy and AJ, Team CTS. So that's
Beats the heck out of ice.
yeah, and on
Although
a
the trees looked really pretty on an Enterprise Drive for a couple of days.
Yeah, they look pretty.
it was
did.
that kind of winter wonder. It was beautiful. It was beautiful, but that's what was causing all those power outages and fires and crazy stuff. So,
Right.
we'll take this. A few inches of snow on a Friday into Saturday.
Right, so we can
Enjoy
go
it.
sledding
That's what I was thinking.
Yes.
instead of
I'll
ice
wake up-
skating.
I'll wake up with the kids tomorrow. Probably
Where
get hurt.
do you go sledding?
My house.
Oh, you really?
Yeah, man. I live in an area where there's a lot of children, so like it's just like a free for all. Kids just come out of the woodwork, and we've got golf carts and stuff, so we'll pull everybody on a golf cart.
Oh, that's so, and you have a hill. By
Yeah, we have hills. Yeah.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah.
Where do folks go sledding around here? 846-8255. What are the best places?
Remember, we used to go over by the plaza. There was the lower part going down to where the road was. That's what we used to do with my dad back in the 80s.
And slid right into the road.
Sled right into the road. Yep, everybody did it, and the cars knew, and it was great.
Oh yeah, I mean, you
There was
could-
no cars.
down Landon Street where my parents live. I mean, it is a steep hill, and it's a lot of fun to go down. But you've got to make sure that you make the curve, because if you don't, you head into the retention pond that is behind there, which is not anywhere you want
But
to end
still,
up.
that extra element of danger to it. Like you could slide onto the in our neighborhood. We call it the dog park, but it's a hill, and it would slide right down into the expressway if they went far enough.
You guys just
And
keep
so-
upping that.
I was
ante.
gonna say we got someone that's a little risque over here, huh?
It's like Frogger.
I
You
know, jumping through. Yeah, nah.
So 846-8255.
Did one of your kids end up on the expressway and sled one time?
Yes, they egged him on. Good sledding tips. So let's talk about though we were saying how the medical industry.
Correct. So to
is-
recap, the medical
yeah.
industry is the most breached industry, and I think we were going down the road of when's the last time HIPAA's actually had a revision.
1997.
I don't know the math. I'd have to do my backwards math, but no. It's first time in 11 years since HIPAA's had any revisions.
Well, I mean, it's not like technology's advanced in that time or anything.
Right?
Come on.
No,
and
just
HIPAA stand what? Healthcare privacy.
Healthcare.
It's Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act
Okay.
of 1996.
Okay.
see, I graduated high
A
school.
lot of words. But so I don't know. I mean, at the end of the day, I think it's warranted, especially to the fact that the data supports they're the most breached industry. But basically, it got published in January 6th, and it comes with a string of different items they plan to address. Tommy and I feel like working with Tommy for the past, 10 years, him and I have a lot of conversations. And some of these conversations, I feel like it's funny to see how slow the industry comes around. Like Tommy and I are having these conversations years ago, and now here comes the industry behind us. And I feel like, it's like interesting to watch. But some of them, and Tommy may chuckle at this, but one of the ones is requiring an incident response plan. We have been preaching that forever. If an incident happens, how do you respond? I don't know that I've ever walked into a business and someone's like, here's my incident response plan. Therefore, that's starting to be a requirement.
An incident meaning some kind of a security breach.
That's correct.
What do you do if somebody breaches your account?
Yep.
Or if you get a message from somebody saying, I got this email from you or whatever? What do you do?
Yep. I think the other one that I think is very interesting, again, we've been talking about for a while now, is requiring written documentation on all security rule policies, procedures, plans, and analysis.
Wouldn't that be a great idea? We've only been doing it for 8 years.
Right? So how long I think we've probably talked to y'all enough that y'all could tell us that if it's not in writing, it doesn't exist, right? Even though you're doing it, it's the prove it, show me how it's being done kind of thing.
I'm really hoping you're going to tell me my last one, which is my favorite. If you don't, I'm going to say it.
I don't know what your favorite is, but I think this one's important for me. It's implementing with the written procedures and testing them, which I think is important because, like you alluded to, what happens when you have technology changes? You don't rewrite your policy. Now everything's off, but no one's testing it to validate that it's actually going to function. Now, I will tell you, Tommy, there's tons here, so I'm probably missing.
No, you're right. So testing it, I call it prove it.
Yeah, prove it.
So if you have a written thing, you have to have some way to prove it. You can't measure something. Right? You have to be able to measure it if you're going to hold a standard against it. So that's what I like. So testing. Remember in the backups, when you used to do like tape backups? They would back it up. Then they'd have a failure and they go put the tape in. There's nothing on it. Yeah. And you're like, well, I didn't know. Yeah, those are the kind of things. But any written procedure should have some way to validate that that's being held to.
So
right.
Do you recommend like some kind of scheduled test, something maybe you would do every year or something like that?
So I go a step farther, depending on what you're doing. Like if we have certain rules set in place and it says you have to do this, we have it monitored. So if it's not done, it alerts us. So it's not testing that it did happen. It's keeping the documentation and proving that it did. So if somebody were to come into our clients and say, hey, prove to me that nobody but these 3 people that had administrative access, and this is how they gained that administrative access, opened or closed these files. We'd be able to do that. And we could even do it to the point where we could say, here's the incident that shows where this was attempted to be opened by somebody that wasn't supposed to. So then you're able to prove not only did the right people do it, but the people who weren't supposed to didn't. So there's just a lot of different pieces to that. But again, that's something we've been doing for a long time that now has become the industry standard, which goes back to why to be a plumber, you have to have a plumbing license, right? To be an electrician, you have to have an electrician license. To be an IT company, you just have to say, I'm an IT company. So the standards, which we're talking about here and HIPAA and all these other government getting involved, is because there's no way to really standardize IT because it comes from all over the world. So you have to prove it.
Yeah.
Central Technology Solutions will come in and do this for companies, make sure that they are compliant, that they have this required plan in place.
Right. My favorite is I pay for an IT company. They handle that, and then we get there and we kind of go through some stuff, and they have no idea that what they're paying for is not what they're getting. Again, it goes back to where's the standard?
And auditing, make sure trust but verify is a comment Tommy and I always throw around the office. And at the end of the day, one of the things I will point out that I think is key here is one of the new facts is going to be required regulated entities to conduct a compliance audit at least once every 12 months. Therefore, a lot of people were kind of skating no one was really coming checking it. Well,
Guess who's been doing that for years?
that's
Oh
gonna
wait,
change.
CTS.
Team CTS, the dreaded A word, the audit. So teamcts.com. Thank you guys.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We'll talk to you again very soon.
After
All
the
right.
snow.
Okay.